Africans do not like Black Americans. So this is a fact.
No, it's an opinion, and a very asinine one at that. Because Africa is a continent with 54 countries and over 1.2 billion people. A statement such as Africans don't like African Americans is a very ludicrous statement because one, is perpetuating this narrative that there is beef and animosity between Africans and African Americans. And two, what that is doing is it's generalizing an entire continent based off of the actions of a couple of African hairdressers who live in America. And this is coming from someone who has traveled to 4 out of 54 of the African countries. Okay, so I went to Tanzania and I was treated like royalty. People were bowing at my feet. I felt like I was some type of long lost queen who had finally returned to the land. Let's talk about Ghana. Ghana was one of the most beautiful countries that I ever visited. I had a family who opened up their home to me. They were feeding me 3 times a day. We were living by the beach. They were doing so much to just make me feel welcomed and loved. So this is for all of my African American people. Go to Africa. Go to the different countries that are there. Learn some of the languages, learn some of the cultures there, because this is the thing. There are more similarities than differences between Africans and African Americans. And we need to kill this narrative. We need to break the plane and start the conversation so that we can get to know each other and enjoy the beautiful continent that we call the motherland, Africa, Azania. Okay? Peace and blessings, y'all.
All right, so I have a question, and I'm not trying to be controversial, but why do African women treat African American women so bad? Like, it's automatic attitude. Like, I've experienced that a lot growing up, and I used to ask my mom, like, why are they like that towards us? And it's because I'm African American. I went to the African market. I was getting some meat or whatever. I was getting some tripe and some goat meat cut up. And I didn't know that you had to grab a ticket in order, you know, the process, basically. And I promise, those ladies let me sit there for like 15 minutes talking in their language, rolling their eyes at me, all kinds of stuff, without even telling me, hey, ma'am, you need to grab a ticket or whatever. I ended up talking to a guy, and I was like, oh, what did you get your tripe cut? Like, what size did you get it? And he was like, oh, this is a medium. Do you know you're supposed to grab a ticket? And I was like, no. And, you know, he helped me out or whatever. But these ladies was just rolling their eyes and had an attitude the whole time. I found that to be like very mean, but I've experienced that. Like going to my Nigerian restaurants, they would give me I asked for egusi with beef. They would give me the fat from the beef, not the actual meat. I mean, I'm talking about excessive fat. And I'm like, ma'am, I asked you for meat. But anyways, and they feel like that I don't know the difference or something. I don't know. So, but I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about because I grew up in that culture. I've experienced the most love from Senegalese women. Oh my gosh, they treat me like a sister. But not Nigerian women. No. Not all Nigerian women. Let me just make that clear. But most of them are very mean to us. Stop being mean. Please.
As an African living in the United States, I used to share the same sentiment that Africans share about African Americans because I had a hard time when I first moved here. People used to always tell me, you're not black enough, you're an Oreo, you're secretly white on the inside, as if I wasn't literally from Africa. But I now understand after living here for 8 years that black in the United States is a very specific criteria and anything outside of that just doesn't fit. But I want to help African Americans understand that Africans coming to the United States are immigrants, first and foremost. Then they are Nigerian or Senegalese or whatever country they're from. And then at some point, they are black. But Africans don't put black high up on their identity well as much as African Americans do. And that is for legitimate reasons on both ends. And so when an African is coming to the United States, they're thinking to themselves, okay, I'm an immigrant here. I have to do my best for myself and my family back home. The sacrifices that took for me to get here were no light work, okay? So I need to really align myself with what's going to make me successful in this country. And because it's the United States, it's the dominant culture, which is white America.
Hi, this is Eli from Africa and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I guess you're doing well from wherever you're watching me from. So over time, there have been a group of Black Americans who claim that we Africans do not love them, do not like them for obvious reasons, maybe of their success they have, for the fight and for the work, for the hard work they are putting in to reach the levels they are today. And today, as I was scrolling through YouTube, I came across this video of this lady who says that we black people in Africa do not acknowledge and do not want to be associated with them. And she claims that we black people are envious of them. Okay, I want you to watch this video that I'm sharing with you and tell me what do you think of it, because we should not build stereotypes of we black people for our black brothers who are in the diaspora. Of course, maybe she had some experience with some black people, black folks who were not friendly to her and who showed some level of jealousness. But Africa has 55 countries of late, and you cannot go around drawing conclusions that we do not want you. Maybe you may be hated in this country, you may be shown hatred, and you come to this place, we show you love. People are different, and we can't just categorize people in one class because of a single story, because of a single experience. And this draws me to Chimamanda Ngozi, who says that do not build an entire conclusion to a single story. We ought to have done a lot of research. We ought to do a lot of research before settling to one conclusion or to a conclusion. Let's watch this video and see whatever it has for us, then come back and give a quick discussion about the same. Thank you so much.
American culture. And so Africans are going to instinctively ally themselves with the culture that's going to give them the most success. I mean, African Americans even admit that they have to code switch to be successful here because that's what brings success. And so Africans are like, all right, we'll do that. And it also doesn't help that for a long time, Africans are fed a very negative view of Black American culture, and that's its own propaganda. But because Africans are so conservative and they're coming to a country where Black Americans have been labeled as the antithesis to this conservative traditional family values, they have, if anything, more in common with like Southern Baptist white racist people. But that aside, going back to identity markers, Black Americans put Black first and foremost, and then everything else goes below it. And so they're thinking when another Black people come to our country, they're going to want to integrate with us, the other Black people, because duh, Black comes first. And they get quickly disappointed in realizing that for Africans, Black and the identity and that coming is not first. Their immigrant identity comes first, and then their country. And if anything, for us as Africans to feel like that's my brother, that's my brethren, or whatever, you have to come from the same tribe as us, because we have so many Black people around, we don't automatically pre-select for Black. But Black Americans don't have so many Black people around, have had to defend and protect their culture amidst a dominant white culture, and so they are already pre-select and are overprotective for Black. And so that's why I think at the core of it, there's like a deep misunderstanding because of not realizing that we put where we put our identity markers and what we put first and what we prioritize are so different culturally because of our differences in trauma, realistically. And so it does make sense that Black Americans will be like, oh, my people, my brethren, come here. And African Americans, or Africans, coming to the United States are like, I'm just trying to make it here. Like, it's a lot of work to immigrate to the United States. And so y'all can stay over there, and I can see why it's hurtful, and I can see why it's taken personally, and I can see the deep misunderstanding and the betrayal that African Americans feel. But it's unfortunate, and that's just a reality. But if we can talk about it from this perspective, I think we can get to a better understanding. But I also believe that Africans that spend enough time in the United States get to this compassion and understanding of the Black American community, because it is a very unique and specific set of circumstances for a culture to grow and to develop.